You know, every so often we're admonished from on high, shall we say, to take responsibility for ourselves and our families. President Clinton made mention of that in his recent State of the Union address. House Speaker Newt Gingrich makes the point often. It is one of the 10 points of the Republican Party's contract with America. State, city, and church leaders often repeat what is becoming a cliche. The American family is falling apart, and each and every one of us has the responsibility to turn that around. But wait just a minute. What about something else? What about the American family as a whole, the nation as a community, and the responsibility of one citizen to another? Well, for that, we turn this morning to the wisdom of people, mostly in their 80s and 90s, who, during their earlier years, vigorously pursued political action. Those you will hear from live together in Sunset Hall, a retirement home for aging activists in Los Angeles.
I was about 8 years old, and I said to my mother, there are all these little kids who looked as if they weren't getting enough to eat. My mother turned to my father and she said, we have a little socialist on our hands. My father thundered, little socialist, big troublemaker.
This was in Stamford, Connecticut. It's about 35 miles from New York. We workers in Stamford wanted to celebrate the May 1st, and the police wouldn't give us no permit. And they waited for us there with blackjacks and gave us immediately a workover right there, and then threw us in the main chair. Yeah.
Well, that must have been terrifying.
But you had to face it there, terrified or not. When you are faced with it, what can I do? Don't do it.
Rainbow. It's as if your hands are forming a rainbow in the sky.
How did a Jewish guy get into the Irish Republican Army?
Every country should be free. It's as simple as ABC. That's the way you're supposed to do things. You do the best you can, according to your own lights. Whatever you think is real is what you should do.
People who find themselves drawn to Sunset Hall are of like mind. They tend to think alike philosophically, politically, socially, and they choose to come to live together in a community because they share the same sorts of values and ideas. And because that's so, we, the board and the staff and the management of Sunset Hall are able to attend to their needs and desires and to make Sunset Hall a stimulating intellectual environment for them to continue to be active in, to continue to be involved in the kinds of activities that they've always been involved in their lifetimes. If they're not able to get out to do those things in the community, we bring those things into them.
My table is very, very politically aware. There are 3 of us there that are extremely interested in our political and social scene.
So you talk politics at breakfast?
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and in between.
I made a shocking discovery. There's a Republican
There's a Republican here?
at my table.
No.
Yes. But, you know, one should adjust.
Yeah, I like an argument. The only trouble is, when I talk politics or anything, I always have in the back of my mind, it seems to me, but it ain't necessarily so. So people who are 100% right, they don't bother me. It's the ones that are 150% right that bother me, see? And so we have some people like that here.
Yeah, would you like to address the issue of 3 strikes and you're out?
Words.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it is that there's no flexibility. where there's no flexibility, there will be injustice.
It's when, of course, they say finding money to convict these people and put them in jail. How can we afford it? We can't afford public schools for the kids, but we're going to afford prisons for these people? That's ridiculous.
It's indicative of the terrible malaise in our society and people beating up on an issue for their own political advantage because people are scared to walk in the streets, so we got to have 3 strikes and you're out. Because people are worried about immigrants taking their jobs away, so we got to make sure that the immigrants' kids don't get medical treatment when they need it.
My first reaction to the immigrants has been, who the hell are we all?
When we were going high, it was very nice to have a lot of cheap help for the corporations and for ourselves. Now we're not prosperous, and now we say everything is due to the immigrants.
Well, I was always being told, go back where you came from.
And where was that?
Newark, New Jersey.
Everyone here is very eager to see life improve and go on. So there's no sense of depression or end of the road here at Sunset Hall. There's a constant invigorating quality about being here.
The closest thing to being dead that I can think of is to be brain dead. You may have a body that's mostly destroyed by disease or accident, but if the brain is functioning as well as possible, and here the stimulation does make that possible, then it's a real bonanza for somebody like me.
I'm supporting the idea of a better world without exploitation.
We wouldn't have an 8-hour day if it weren't for the troublemakers. And the liberals are treated with contempt, but it was they brought about every change that was for the better.
Do you think of yourself as something of a rabble-rouser?
You're goddamn tootin'.
Do you find the company here stimulating?
Well, I would like a little more intellectual.
Really?
Yeah,
Not quite enough.
not quite enough.
I believe that it's really important that older people not be ghettoized, that they not be isolated off into a physical care situation where that's the need that's being attended to, and somehow every other part of them that's been alive is now disregarded or not allowed the opportunity to be expressed.
A contemporary poem. One night I dreamed I died, sprouted wings, and flew to heaven. It was all too pure and holy. I did not like it there. So I went to hell and felt alive again.
Now, those folks are a testament to the fact that really you never grow old, or you're as old as you feel. I mean, it's
Exactly.
just, we can learn a lot from their wisdom.
Wisdom comes with age.
And that report was put together by producer Peter Imber in Los Angeles.
And you're watching World News Now.